Hey everyone, welcome to episode 52 of AI GTM Talks. My name is Mani Iyer, and we're excited to bring this episode to you all. And with me is Rabia Thakur, Head of Products at Kwanzu. Rabia, how are you?
Hello, Mani. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Rabia. Folks, we've been running this talk series. It's been over a year now. We finished episode 50 a couple of weeks ago. We bring in either AI GTM tech CEOs who go to a deep dive in one specific area. We've also brought on revenue leaders. We brought on AI GTM practitioners. Again, subject matter experts who can, articulate, explain a lot of what's happening in the world of go to market as AI comes in and completely transforms it. For today's session, what we wanted to focus on was how do you build trust in signal-based technology? Now, signal-based tech, signal-based pipeline growth, signal-based solutions is something we've been working on for over 2.5 years now, and we uh, we felt obviously more broadly in marketing and sales tech. There's a bunch of customers have some hesitation, not completely clear about different tech providers, solution providers, data providers. Uh, is it really working? What's the quality? There's a lot of different considerations and questions, and I'm sure Rabia, you'll agree with this, right? A lot of people are concerned about signal-based tech, and so we've said let's figure out. And so certainly there's a lot of work that we've been doing internally at Kwanzu, and we also want to share it out with the folks, on through this talk series is how do you build trust in signal-based tech? So it's not just about Quanto, it's more broadly in the category, and there's a bunch of different tech and tools and providers out there, right? So, and I know we prepared a bunch of material on this, folks, so we're going to walk you through it. And so let me bring up and share my screen, and then we'll also do a little bit of show and tell. We'll be giving you a little bit of a demo of some very interesting capabilities that we've already uh, some of it is already in our tech. Some of it is something we're literally building out, and it's going to be out in the next week or two. Some of it is a little bit further out. So we're going to give you kind of the lay of the land, kind of the roadmap into how we see things evolving in the world of signal-based tech also. So the scope is broadly how do we build trust? So that's building trust part is the first part. And then the next part is how do you see the world changing for signal-based tech? So a little bit looking ahead. So with that, let me share the material and begin to share the material. So let's just go there first. So replace, I'm going to stop this and then come up with this one here. So what we are putting together here is, if I present this, so I think the topics we will get into is as follows. Let's start with the problem statement here, Rabia. I think this is something a lot of people will agree. These are the problems broadly in go-to-market, but certainly in our category of different kinds of signal-based technologies that allow people to track person-level buying signals, company-level buying signals on and off their website. Um, did you want to maybe speak to this a little bit? What are some of the things you've seen with a bunch of customers we've been working with, all the way from SMB to mid-market and up?
Sure. Yes, there are various GTM platforms, but signals, they are all fragmented. Some might be giving the website data, they might be de-anonymizing, and some might be just giving the social signals or intent. So they lie in their different platforms in their own silos. There's no way to unify the data. There's a lot of manual work required there. Even with
Yep.
the website resolution, then we have seen multiple partners, multiple customers, and we have seen very low resolution rates. If they go with one data partner, so they'll see, say, for example, up to 5 till 20%, not much resolution. So
Hmm.
that is one more problem. Plus, whatever data they are getting, they are resolving. It's not complete data. You don't get
Hmm.
all the fields. So they might be incomplete lead record, or it will be inaccurate data. Emails might be incorrect. Phone numbers might be incorrect. So
Yep.
all these issues we have seen live with our customers, multiple data partners as well. Plus
Hmm.
all these tools, they don't talk to each other. They're very complex. It's very complex way, how do you unify the entire data? So it's very
Hmm.
difficult for marketers to do that, and as a result it's very poor outbound because
Hmm.
there's low accuracy. There's very poor timing because you have the intent data but you're not able to operationalize it, so you miss that window as well for that lead prospect.
Right. Yeah, look, I mean, I think, Ravi, to your point, yeah, I think that uh, I think to set the context a little bit, yes, what we're talking about broadly here is not the standard account data, contact data, which is more static marketing databases, right? But for cold outreach, we're talking about more understanding buyers that are engaging on and off the website. So turning anonymous website traffic into known visitors that you can reach out to at an individual or person level, right? So that's one piece of it. Knowing known users or visitors of your website across, lots of different media properties, media websites that you also want to engage with, but knowing at an individual or person level who is showing buying signals on a topic of interest, could be a product or solution that you offer. Similarly, known visitor engagement on social channels, on a variety of social channels. And then you have a range of company level signals. But you're saying this is a common, consistent problem, regardless of what kind of signals, or these are fundamental problems, right? That are making
Yes.
all this stuff work. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, makes sense. Now, so can you speak to this? Because I know the next logical thing to talk about is, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing to kind of break this thing down and try to address the problem and solve the problem for customers, right?
Right.
And so today, what are the options people have? One is they can go with some technology or tool like a Clay, right? A clay.com, and they have that spreadsheet based interface where you can do some data enrichment for particular pieces of data. They can do some AI, you know, call it workflow components and messaging sequences they can build within Clay. But we are thinking about the problem a little bit differently. I know that we've been building this tech out that's really designed for the end user, like a growth marketer, demand marketer, sales manager, sales leader,
Right.
and we have a whole different paradigm. But before we get into the user experience, which, as you know, is more end user oriented in our case, how are you thinking about the broader problem, the data problem, the lack of trust customers have in the signal-based tech, signal-based data? Maybe you can speak to this a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So to address all those problems, so we have we have tried multiple things to solve some of these problems. One is a unification of the data. So if
Yeah.
we go by the first step, first we are trying to capture most of these signals in our platform. So rather than having multiple platforms, a customer goes to some other platform for say social signals or for intent so for some other platform. So all of these signals we'll be capturing for them, so you'll
Mm,
find all those relevant signals in one platform only. Then we
mm,
unify the data. So there's one buyer, and we can give the complete buyer journey, which is the step two. And we'll give
mm,
them accounts and leads and the complete unification of data. If the same lead is showing website visit or the offsite data or the social signals, they'll see everything in the same buyer journey.
mm.
So that saves a lot of manual effort of the user being able to analyze the data separately. So they'll
Yep.
without any effort they'll get the entire data unified.
Mhm,
Third step is the enrichment of the data. So we try across multiple data partners and try to enrich each and every field by doing a waterfall enrichment of important fields, say, for example, email or the firmographics data. So multiple data partners, if it's not coming from one data partner, we go to the other, to the other, and to the other to finally get
mhm.
the data.
Yep.
Then fourth is the verification of the data, so especially the emails. So even if we are getting enriched data, we don't trust that. We do another level of verification so that whatever emails we are giving, those are actually deliverable emails, so that
Mhm,
customer doesn't have to do. So all of these steps are very slowly trying to build trust with the user, so that
mhm,
they can rely completely on one platform and on this data. So
mhm,
this will kind of solve the data enrichment and quality problem. and then coming to automation or outbound problem, we also allow automated automation by creating the campaigns, segments, and all. That will so the way it works is you can start with the English language prompts, and you can just go ahead and do end-to-end activation of a campaign, so that, and it is going to be a dynamic campaign. Whenever signals come in, they are put into the relevant campaigns. So there again, a manual effort and all that is avoided, and so on.
Right.
And yeah, so these are the some of the steps which we are doing, and if we go into the future, it will be expanded further so that we can use it for other AI based tools using Claude and Chat GPT and so on. So you just write a
Hmm.
prompt, the customer has their own Claude interface, and then they can just use those to run and create campaigns and so on.
Yeah, yeah. So I know, Rabia, very soon you're going to show some demo and of some of the things you can do within our app, within our platform around building these wizard-based, call it simple configuration steps and workflows of setting up these different kinds of signals, right? We can show them a little bit, the people watching. That would be interesting. I know we have our own native signal-based segment creation capability, what we call AI Playmaker. But then what you and I have already talked about is that the ability to build signal-based segment is something people want to have from other tools, right? So meaning they have their own AI environments, AI LLM models and chat and so forth, and they also want the ability to do that from workflow tools like N8N and others. So we've kind of been doing a bunch of work around decoupling that and making all of our valuable signal-based data available in actually many more ways than we already do, right? So
Mhm.
we'll talk more about that, but let me I think one of the first things is I think we should continue down this path of a conversation here. So let me bring up the next slide here, and maybe let's talk about this first, which is um, the let's talk specifically about website visitor identity and website visitor resolution, because this is the one of the core capabilities that a lot of people come and use signal-based tech for in general, right? With there's some very interesting signals people tend to use quite a bit of, and this is one of them. So, can you explain to folks listening what the key distinction is or differences between the way we've been thinking about website visitor resolution versus what's out there in the market in terms of, I call it like single provider or single point website visitor resolution tools? Yeah.
Sure. So, yes, if we talk about other platforms, so they go with one data partner. So, whatever resolution they are giving, whatever data they are giving, that is being directly delivered to the customers. So, how we have done is, so what happens is with a single provider, they are not able to reach that resolution rate that customers generally want. So,
Hmm.
it's very low resolution, say up to 4 or 5%, not more. So what we have done is we have searched, and we have integrated multiple resolution providers.
Hmm.
So what happens is with multiple data providers, you'll see that interesting part is they share different kind of data. So for the same
Right.
website, so there might be some overlap, but all partners, they are sharing different data as well. So
Hmm.
which helps in incremental increase of the resolution rates. So what maybe 4 or 5%, it could go up to say 20, 30, 40% as well.
Hmm.
So yes.
So yeah, so I think on this topic, let me quickly switch over. I think we should share with people that we actually just did a blog post on this, right? So let me quickly bring up this blog article that folks may find super interesting, where we actually um, did do what you just said, which is we did a real live test across, I think it was maybe 10, 12 different customers and their underlying data, and trying to analyze across multiple customers. We looked at the data in terms of multiple data resolution, right? Website resolution providers that we're making calls to de-anonymize more of the traffic for them. And we said for every
Right.
100 visitors, how can we maximize the de-anonymized traffic for each customer? And what is super interesting here is take a look. Um, if somebody had only one provider, they would have had only, one of these circles, right? Either the gray
Right.
circle or the blue circle or one of this other, this brown circle. And now here, what they've got instead is some unique leads that are being sourced by each of these providers, some leads that are overlapping between two of these providers,
Hmm.
and some leads that they're able to see are being sourced uniquely across all providers. And I think we need to be clear probably with folks when we say lead, we mean these are de anonymized site visitors coming to your site. This is not a lead in terms of somebody filling out a form. So this is not a form fill, but this is,
Right.
um, yeah, people who are revealing themselves, I guess, because we have third party cookies on them, we're able to connect with their email and their profile. Um, so it's not a cold contact like in an Apollo or a Zoom info, but we call it a website warm lead, or we call it an offsite intent lead, but it's actually a person that they can follow up with. Any comments on this, Rabia? Any other observations you want to share with people?
Yes, so yes, like you mentioned, so if we are using one data provider, so they'll see very less resolution. And if you see that even if there are multiple data partners, it's not the overlap is high. They'll get different kind of bias if you have multiple data partners. So uh, yes, so that ways
Yeah,
we are able to increase the resolution rate drastically.
absolutely. And then, so what's interesting is this data is actually also helping us figure out, right? Like who to go with, who's giving exclusive coverage, how much
Hmm.
are we getting that's exclusive for our customers. And then look at this, the bottom line. I mean, this is incredible, right? I mean, basically there was a 400% increase uh, if you go from one of these providers to actually three, in
Right.
our case, three providers, the number of
Right.
leads just went dramatically up. So yeah, that's significant change, if you will.
Right.
So let's keep going. So I think the next thing that we should talk about then is that's on website resolution, how we can increase the coverage, increase the reach, give them more de-anonymized data, more to work with. So this is obviously step one. Um, and I'm going to go on to the next slide. Talk about waterfall, Rabia. What are we doing around enrichment within our signal-based tech, and how do we plan to make this kind of a waterfall capability available to customers? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So this is on inbuilt within the Konzu platform. So customers they won't see it. They won't have to do anything about it. It's just when they start getting the resolution data, we automatically do the waterfall enrichment. So there are multiple fields we try to that we definitely try to fill if not from one partner but through multiple data partners that we have. So and it's a sequential execution. You just have to you see that okay, first provider is giving the data or no. If not, then we go to the second one. If not, we go to the third one. It's kind of an automatic fallback until we actually find the email or whatever field. So the same thing we are doing for email, phone numbers, company data, and so on, titles. So
Mhm.
we are trying to, we have the best data partners who have the data, who claim they have good data. And then we, even if still we don't rely on one data partner. So there are multiple data partners. That ways we are trying to fill in all the gaps, all the fields that are missing. We try to fill in through different data partners. And finally, what we get is the fully baked lead record with the complete data.
Right. Now I know we use waterfalls extensively in the kind of lead records we put together, website, offsite, social, and so on. Um, and then we should talk maybe later on. We can talk about how exposing these to APIs makes it so powerful for our customers to use this then as a way to backfill some missing data, right? In their uh, prospect and intelligence, customer intelligence hub, or like a CDP, or any of these other tools where they're trying to bring data together. And if they
Right,
have gaps in their data set, that they'll have a way to use these waterfall APIs as opposed to individual APIs to individual providers.
right.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. Now, I think you also wanted to bring up the different kinds of waterfalls and learnings we've had so far. I think if you can cover this next, this should be very interesting to people. Let's get into this.
Right. So we have kept different categories what we enrich through our data partners. One is the work email. So work email, we definitely try to see if we have multiple data partners. We try to cover all of them so that we get a valid work email. And same for
Hmm.
LinkedIn URL, and then it's mobile number enrichment. So these are the three categories which we try to fill through different data partners. Then the fourth category is the firmographics data. So all the company related information, company name, domain, LinkedIn, so on, and the firmographics data, revenue, company size. So for because for all of these, there are different data partners who specialize in say only firmographics. So we go to Waterfall for that specific field or that particular group. And then we
Hmm.
have title enrichment. All of these we either do through work email or LinkedIn. We do that. And then the last one, which is also very important, if some of the data providers, they give us personal data back, personal email. So we try to convert it to B2B through different data providers as well.
Hmm.
So this is what we have built in terms of waterfall, and yes, what learnings we have found so far. So we have seen that if we go with only one data partner, it's never a fully baked lead record. We'll definitely find some gaps there. Some fields would be missing. If we have multiple data partners, we can ensure that we have full coverage of all the data fields, and they are good quality data from these partners. And when we have the sequential form of this enrichment, we are sure that okay, this partner is not giving the data. Then only we go to the other one. So it improves the success rate as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's only enrichment that doesn't help the customer. So we want that they should have validation as well. So that's why we validate, and we also do the enrichment of all of these fields for the
Hmm.
customer.
Yeah. And Rabia, one other thing probably worth mentioning is how we are constantly testing new data providers, right? I
Right.
mean, literally every month we are discovering one more new data provider, one more new data partner in some other area, some different area.
Mhm.
Every month we have one, two, data partners that we're constantly bringing in, constantly testing through APIs to look at is it giving a step up to customers. And
Right.
the benefit of that for customers is, hey, they don't have to spend those hours and hours trying to play around and mess around with some of the other enrichment tools, but they have to literally do some hunting and pecking and trying and knowing if this is going to work, not work. They have it's a
Right.
lot of time, lot of effort
Mhm.
that they don't have to put in now. It's ready to go, ready to use, pre-built, ready to go, right? Content
Right.
that they can
Yes.
consume. So let's talk next about. I'm going to go on and bring this up now, which is um, uh, let's let me ask you about this. So next up is if I go on to the next topic here, we wanted to, yeah, I think on email verification, you want to talk about how we're doing email scoring real quick. We'll take a minute and then we can go on to other topics.
Sure. So then, yes, after enrichment, deliverability, that is also important. So again, like I mentioned, that we don't trust only the data partners that we have. We specifically added this layer of deliverability so that we can validate all the emails that we get from the data partners to
Yeah.
ensure the what is the deliverability, whether it's uh, actually deliverable or catch-all or not a good email. And then
Mhm.
once we are fully confident, we attach a particular score to that email and then deliver it finally to the customer. So that customer
Correct.
can be confident that they'll have lower bounce rates, and their campaign will have better performance.
Got it. And what should they make up the score, specific score we're assigning? Like 100 is the one that's really truly good to go, right? In terms of outbound
Yes.
nurture. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
60 is the
Yeah.
one which is non-deliverable. 80 will be
Yeah.
all catch-all emails. So 100 is surely the most reliable score.
Got it. Okay. Now let's talk about, I mean, we have another very interesting, unique capability, right? Which is offsite intent.
Right.
Um, which is the person level leads, intent leads that come from across the web, 90,000 different media websites based on topics of interest. We've been, we've had it in the market pretty much most of last year, 2025. And we have several customers using that. We have people tell us, they find that pretty useful. It's a good new lead source. But I mean, we've had some components of it that is a little more manual, a little more effort. But then we're excited, I guess, to share with folks that there's some really nice, cool improvements coming to that capability from Kwanzu in the coming week, in the next week or two. So, can you talk about this? What is offsite intent? What have we traditionally supported around offsite intent leads? And then what is new and what's changing very soon?
Sure. So yes, offsite intent. So these are uh, some topics or topics of interest which people are searching across the web. So
Hmm.
customer put in their keywords in the platform, and they and then we try to give them those prospects or those leads who are interested in similar kind of those topics across the web.
Hmm.
So what we realized, so how our traditional process, how it works is that there were large volume of intent leads that we used to fetch. They may not be all useful for the customer because they'll have to search through different filters, what are the relevant titles, and then they have to find out the relevant one. So that step was a bit manual in between.
Hmm.
And because it was a large volume of leads, there was a step which we had added to specifically unlock the leads.
Yep.
So we kept the leads locked at our end with just revealing some part of the lead record, like title, company information, and so on. And
Yep.
by their search criteria, whatever customer prefers, they would unlock them manually. So
Hmm.
that was definitely causing a bit of friction. Customers didn't want to. Obviously, it's if it's manual, it's a bit difficult for customers to go into and do the unlock process every day.
Yep.
And again, so then now what we have changed is that it's a new enhanced process where upfront we'll allow ask the customer to have more tighter filtering on
Yep.
their end, say titles and all, pick up specific titles only, so
Hmm.
that they don't have to go and review them manually every time.
Yep.
And there will be a focus groups of 10 topics at a time only, so that they know, okay, for these 10 topics, these plus these titles or these lead filters, and they'll get specific leads only, which will be definitely useful. Since we'll be doing some pre-qualification only,
Yep.
titles, account, and so on. So then they don't need to have this manual process of unlocking. So
Hmm.
automatically they'll get the leads every 24 hours. So
Okay.
and then they can do it this in the batches of 10 topics. So in case they have more topics, for say for 1 or 2 weeks, they can try out one batch of intent topics, and then they can switch to the other batch and so on. So
Yeah.
they'll automatically get the quality leads without putting in any manual effort.
Yeah. For example, like I think we've seen clusters of topics like, I'm a B2B company, who are my competitors? So it could be a list of 8, 10 competitors. So now it's bringing back leads of people who are consuming content or looking for information about their competitor across
Right.
90,000 media websites, right? Or it's a cluster of topics around something they offer, like digital
Right.
transformation. So now digital transformation becomes something that they can go find leads of people who are looking for solutions for digital transformation or who have digital transformation initiative, maybe at the company that they're talking about on a particular
Right.
website, right? So that's the kind of data that we're bringing back. You had a quick workflow thing. Maybe you want to show it for a couple of minutes, and then we can keep going
Okay.
on just this new flow. I think you wanted to kind of share so people get a feel for what this offsite intent thing is, and how they can actually use it.
Sure.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can I can stop sharing. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So quickly going into the current process.
Yeah.
So we have this offsite wizard flow. So like I mentioned, so here we can just configure the list of topics, what they want.
Hmm.
So currently they can configure up to 100 topics, and we fetch leads for all of them. And then
Yeah.
you go into filters and you can apply the ICP account list, firmographics, revenue, company size, industry, persona, put in some titles or seniority levels and block list and so on. So once everything is set up, and then you go, because now you have a large list of topics, and it could be any title or without title. So you'll fetch a large number of account leads here. So
Yeah.
if you see the account is blurred, so we have all the PIA information that is blurred. But you have
Mm-hmm.
enough information. You have titles, seniority, industry, revenue, company size, and so on. And based on this criteria, then customers had to go in and unlock these leads specifically. Once
Yeah.
these are unlocked, then they'll start showing up in the Signals Hub. So now
Mm-hmm.
what is changing is we are going away with this unlock screen. So immediately after they apply the lead filters, so you'll go here in the intent summary screen and you'll just
Yeah.
activate the daily refresh. So you'll have to do
Mm.
it once, you activate it and it will sync the data. And once we start getting the data, so we'll just show you some, okay, so this is some data they are getting for the last 24 hours, previous day.
Mm.
So if they
Mm-hmm.
feel this is too high, they could again go back and change some filters if they want. And then
Yeah.
they can also review some of the sample leads based on the criteria they have set.
Got
Once
it.
this is done, and then that's it. They'll every day they'll just go into the Signals Hub and they'll start receiving the leads on a daily basis, every 24 hours, directly in the Signals Hub. So no need of any manual effort and so on.
Amazing. But they will need to set some kind of caps. They can set a cap saying I want no more than 10 leads a day for a
Yes.
particular cluster of topics. Right.
Yes, so they can for offsite they can set up a daily capping and a monthly capping, and
Yeah.
even how so unlock will go away. So just a monthly and daily cap. So if they set up this as 200, so
Hmm.
on every on each day we'll just fetch 200 leads and directly unlock and share it with the customer.
Got it. Got it. All right. So I think this is kind of the whole enhanced way we plan to deliver these kind of offsite intent leads. Can you talk about not just the enhanced flow? Can you talk about, Rabia, just the current product, if you can bring it up and talk about the current way the app works, the product works, which is all the configuration is done through a variety of wizard flows, right, for different kinds of signals. How is this going to change as we move to a world where the signals are nice and clean and ready to go, ready to use in our app, in our platform? But let's say the signal, the segment building, I know we have natively have AI Playmaker here, but the segment building, as we know in the market, is kind of moving to other tools like a Claude desktop, right? Claude
Mhm.
interface, or any like even an NA10 where you have a workflow, and then from the workflow you want to be able to get access to all the signal data that's sitting in the Quanzu app. How are
Right.
we thinking about how we're going to support those kind of use cases?
Okay, sure. So how the current platform works is for each of the modules we have wizard flows. So, for
Right.
example, if we go into the website warmly, you go
Yeah.
into you set up your domain, you get the tag, then you apply some lead filters, what types
Yeah.
you want, and
Mm-hmm.
what pages you want, ICP,
Mm-hmm.
firmographics. And similarly, the offsite that I showed you. So we have all the filters and the delivery methods, everything we set up through the wizard flows. Then we have
Correct.
other products. So everything is done that ways. But how we are moving forward in future, what we are planning is it will all be through APIs, which will be exposed, and everything will be there in the MCP server. And
Mm.
customers, they might use their own Claude instance, they might be using their Chat GPT instance. So since everything will be through MCP, so they just need to fire certain. Maybe they can start with say English language prompts. So here as well, we support a very basic version of AI Playmaker where they can start creating segments, starting the prompts. The change will be that instead of coming to the Quanzu platform, if they have their own Claude instance, they can just uh, integrate it with Quanzu, and then they can start writing the prompt there itself to create the segments,
Got
to
it.
analyze the even analysis of the daily leads, analytics, and all. So if someone says, "Show me the leads from yesterday, resolve leads from yesterday," so it should show up in the Cloud instance through prompts. So
Got it. So just to be clear, the configuration and setting up the signals is still here in the Quanzu app, but it's the utilization of the, call it available clean signal data on a daily basis that they'll be able to utilize it and build, micro segments, micro campaigns in other tools
right,
by having an API key and making a call into an MCP server that we're going to, provide as an interface out to those tools.
right,
That's really the point. Okay,
yes.
got it. Okay, fair enough. So where let's talk about then, based on where that's at. Um, I think we should talk about this notion of a shared context layer, because I know we're working with some mid-market companies, customers, and it's right. So there's quite a bit of that we're already starting to see, right, where customers are trying to figure out how do I not have to keep inputting the same context into every single app, GTM app in my complete tech stack. So in the prospect, in the top of funnel, right, the signals, and trying to understand buying signals on my prospects. I mean, coming all the way down to where it converts into a positive response or a meeting, or adding to the pipeline. So that part of the process, what I call, in the top of funnel, all the way to booked meeting, and then getting an opportunity created in the CRM, and then get people to start working on that opportunity on the sales side. You've got the next piece of it from opportunity to close. So there are other tools in the sales tech side that are trying to focus on that, trying to build some common context and context layer around that. Our vision is, how can we be either help drive that context layer on the top of funnel, right, on the marketing side, or how can we be part of that ecosystem of a few key tech companies and providers that are bringing together that context layer, right, on the top of funnel, so to speak, on the marketing side. Understand. And so I think with that in mind, Rabi, I'm just going to put up one slide, which is the 12 layer, right, AI sales automation workflow framework tech stack that we've been talking about. We've been, socializing it quite a bit, and we're getting a lot of validation, by the way, on this from all the customers we've been sharing it with, also sharing it out on GTM communities, like a bunch of them, as you know, that we've been getting the word out, getting revenue leaders to give us some feedback. So let me talk about this real quick for a few, just a couple of minutes. So, folks, what you're looking at is like a 12-layer AI GTM, uh, almost like a it's really a framework. We're calling it sales. I'll kind of go up a little bit on this slide here. So it's an AI driven sales automation architecture, and framework for how to think about all the steps you need to go through in order to drive pipeline, right from starting from key signals that you want to aggregate and bring in into uh, and to be able to operationalize. So take a look at this. Right at the top, you've got your website signals, you got your off-site signals, intent signals. You have social monitoring signals, which is a variety of different social channels, role change signals, funding event signals, right? Custom account level signals and pre-event workflows. Now, I want to be clear. So basically, this we've at least the version you're looking at here. We obviously are calling out where we fit and play in different parts of the signal-based tech layer. We are, of course, adding complementary technology where we don't natively provide the tech. So this is again a way we are either operationalizing it for our customers in partnership with our agency partners. So they come in and help the customer do this. We also white label our tech out to agencies so that they can also provide it out to their customers. But the bottom line is we take all the signals, and then there is either it feeds straight into a CRM, or it goes into a database layer. So we've seen it being set up either way, depending on whether it's an SMB customer, a mid-market enterprise customer. In the mid-market enterprise, we're seeing certainly more of people starting to use it, drop it into a super-based database, relational database, or they're kind of going beyond that and dropping all the signal data, the third-party signal data, into a CDP like treasure data and also some of these other environments. You can do contact enrichment, of course, either right in our layer, or you can do contact enrichment a little bit downstream. We've seen people using workflow tools like an NA10 and others for doing account and lead scoring and qualification, generate the multi-touch message sequences using AI tech, and then have the messages be approved. There's a human in the loop approval of the messages. And of course, following that, you've got your multi-channel outreach. So you might have email sequencers, you can have LinkedIn sequencers, physical nudges and gifting tech and tools for certain class of prospects. And then, of course, you can go beyond that and look at some of these others. Bottom line is then you
Right.
get your messages out, you get positive responses back. And from there, you can look at lead qualification, getting your SDRs in motion, getting your meetings set up, on and on. But I think the key point here is we are starting to see quite a bit of interest around uh, having tech like ours, as you know, Rabia, right? Play nice with other tech, have
Mm.
standardized interfaces, standardized frameworks. And what we are trying to do is make sure our very valuable signal data that we're doing all the heavy lifting across all these providers behind the scenes become useful, valuable, actionable, easy to activate, however they want to set up their workflows, however they want to set up their right segments, and however
Right.
they want to feed it, wherever they want to feed it. That's really the key. Make it that simple, that easy to use. Any final thoughts, Rabia, as we begin to wrap up here?
I guess yes. If we start to operationalize this, this is going to be very powerful as well, fully automated, and a lot of value to the customer.
Yeah, yeah. And then just looking ahead a little bit, let me just stop sharing and let me just bring up this kind of final. I think the key takeaways. I think I want to put this slide up, Rabia. Maybe let's just sum up with this, and then we can, we'll let people. I think they'll probably want to see this. So one sec. Uh, yeah, go ahead. Can you speak to this one, please? This is the key takeaways that you've got for folks, how they should be
Uh,
thinking about all this. Yeah.
Right. To summarize, yes. So, one is in one platform only capture multiple signals. It could be website, offsite, social, or whatever signals. If they're in one place, unified, that will be useful.
Mhm,
Second, enrichment. Enrichment has to be across multiple data partners to give full
mhm,
coverage to the lead record.
mhm,
Verification, even after enrichment, you add a layer of verification so that we are sure that whatever we are providing that is valid and verified. And then last is the activation step where we uh, have these GTM actions activated through automation. It could be through AI or through the different steps that we do in Kwanzu, but in future, yes, through maybe cloud-based prompts and so on. So just to have the fully end-to-end campaigns running.
yeah, and I think we're calling out the key things people should pay attention to, right? I mean, make it do more and more. Focus on coverage, focus on reach, focus on quality. Make sure that everything is API based and API enabled increasingly, right? Make sure that everything is you're waterfalling because your waterfalls make sure you have clean data, ready to go data,
Right.
and use AI in a way that it's simplifying all the complexity. I think
Right.
that those are some of the key points we're trying to make here. So that makes sense. And so yeah, how can people get in touch with us? Maybe we should just put that up, Rabia, and we can wrap up this talk. So folks, please reach out to us. You'll find both Rabia and I on LinkedIn. We are happy to kind of engage in further conversation around this. We are doing a monthly AI GTM talk session that may be of interest to some of you. Please, we will post a link. It's a Luma link. We'll make sure that we post it at the bottom of this video as it plays on LinkedIn. And that is once a month. So please come join us if you can at that session. And that sums it up. You'll also, we just quickly put up yeah, the uh, just our contact information. You can get a hold of us this way. So that wraps up today's session. It was all about building trust with signal-based technology, signal-based growth solutions, uh, how to use it effectively, how to operationalize it effectively, and that was pretty much the thrust of our discussion today. Thank you, Rabia. Hopefully, this was useful to folks watching and listening. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.